Episode 1 The Meeting on the Banks of Ganga. Our story now takes us to the banks of the sacred Ganga. The first rays of the morning sun filtered through the forest, bathing the waters of the sacred Ganga in a soft golden light. Through this tranquil landscape rode King Shantanu, ruler of Hastinapura. King Shantanu was admired throughout the Kuru kingdom. Courageous in battle, just in judgment, and compassionate towards his people, he had brought peace and prosperity to the realm. Like many kings of ancient India, Shantanu had come on a hunting expedition. Hunting was not merely a royal pastime. These expeditions kept a king close to his land, sharpened his skills, and protected his people from dangerous beasts. As Shantanu approached a quiet bend in the river, his horse slowed almost of its own accord. Standing upon the river bank was a young woman. Her beauty was unlike anything the king had ever seen. For a moment, time itself appeared to stand still. "My lady," he said gently, "may I know who you are? I have travelled across many kingdoms, yet never have I beheld anyone like you." The young woman looked at him with a serene smile. She did not answer. There was neither shyness nor pride in her silence. The king found himself speaking with a sincerity that surprised even him. "I do not know your family or your kingdom, yet my heart tells me that you alone are worthy to be my queen. Will you accept my hand in marriage?" The young woman remained silent for a few moments before she spoke. "My lord," she said, "I shall indeed become your wife, but only on one condition." "What is your condition?" asked Shantanu. "Whatever I do, you must never question me. You must never ask me the reason for my actions. You must never speak harshly to me. The day you break this promise, I shall leave you immediately." It was an extraordinary condition, but when people fall deeply in love, questions often give way to trust. Shantanu did not hesitate. "I give you my word," he replied. "I shall never question you." Their marriage was celebrated with great joy throughout Hastinapura when the mysterious young woman became their queen. The people rejoiced. Their king had found a queen of rare grace and dignity. Then a son was born. The palace echoed with celebration. But before the joy of the kingdom had faded into memory, something happened that no one could have imagined. Queen Ganga took the infant gently into her arms and walked silently towards the river. Bewildered, the king followed. Before he could understand what was happening, she placed the newborn into the flowing waters. Within moments, the infant was gone. Shantanu stood frozen. Every instinct within him cried out, yet a voice restrained him. He had given his word never to question her. Time passed. Another son was born. Once again the kingdom rejoiced. Once again Ganga carried the child to the river. Once again she surrendered the infant to its waters. Shantanu remained silent. The same tragedy unfolded yet again. A third son, then a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. Each child was born amidst celebration. Each child disappeared into the sacred river. Each time, the king endured a sorrow too deep for words. When the eighth child was born, Ganga once again began walking towards the river. This time, Shantanu could bear it no longer. He hurried after her. "Stop!" His voice echoed across the waters. "This cannot continue. Whoever you are, how can a mother destroy her own children? I have remained silent long enough, but today I cannot." Ganga stopped. Slowly she turned towards him. There was neither anger nor disappointment upon her face, only quiet compassion. "My lord," she said softly, "the time has come for you to know the truth." The young queen who had shared his palace, the mother of his children, was no ordinary woman. "I am Ganga," she said. "I am the river upon whose banks you first saw me. For your sake I assumed human form. The children whom I bore were not ordinary mortals. They were the 8 Vasus, celestial beings who dwell in the higher realms."
The Vasus? Who were they, and why were they born as human children?
The Vasus are 8 celestial beings associated with the forces that sustain the universe. They are counted among the attendants of Indra, king of the Devas. I'll talk about them later. For now, I continue. Ganga continued her story. One day, while the Vasus were wandering upon the earth with their wives, one of the wives saw Nandini, the miraculous cow belonging to the great sage Vasishta. One of the wives was captivated by Nandini's beauty and by the abundance she was said to bestow. The Vasudyu yielded to his wife's request. The others, though reluctant, joined him. Together, they took the sage's cow without his permission. When sage Vasishta discovered what had happened, he was deeply grieved by their greed. In his anger, the sage pronounced a curse. "Since you have behaved like mortals, you shall be born upon the earth as mortals." The Vasus were overcome with remorse. They begged the sage for forgiveness. Vasishta's anger gradually subsided. "The 7 who merely followed," he said, "shall be freed from earthly life almost as soon as they are born. But the one who led the act must remain on earth and live the life of a human being." The Vasus then approached me. They prayed that I would become their mother and release them from the curse as quickly as possible. That is why I returned the first 7 children to my waters. They were not destroyed, they were liberated. But this 8th child, he must fulfill the sage's decree. His life upon earth has only just begun. Shantanu listened in silence. For the first time, he understood what had remained hidden from him. Yet understanding did not lessen the sorrow of a father. "My queen," he said quietly, "if the child must live upon the earth, then let him remain with me." Ganga looked lovingly at the infant in her arms. "My lord," she replied, "the time has not yet come. He has a destiny unlike that of ordinary men. He must first receive the finest education that this age can offer. When he is ready, I shall return him to you." With those words, the radiant goddess disappeared. The king stood alone upon the river bank. The flowing waters seemed as calm as ever. Only his heart knew how greatly his life had changed. His queen was gone. His son was gone. The palace that had once echoed with joy became strangely silent. Years passed. The Ganga flowed on, carrying with it memories that only Shantanu understood. Yet hope never together left his heart, for Ganga had made a promise, and he believed she would keep it. King Shantanu ruled Hastinapura with wisdom and justice, yet there was one sorrow that never left his heart. Whenever time permitted, he would return to the banks of the sacred Ganga. There, amidst the gentle murmur of the flowing waters, memories would return. Her final words haunted him. When he is ready, I shall return him to you. Though the years had passed, hope had never quite faded. One day, as Shantanu stood gazing at the river, the waters before him seemed to shimmer with an unearthly radiance. From the Ganga emerged the goddess herself. Beside her stood a handsome young prince. His bearing was noble, his face shone with quiet confidence. My lord, Ganga said gently, the time has come to fulfill my promise. She looked affectionately at the young prince. This is your son. I have entrusted his education to the greatest teachers of our age. He is accomplished in every branch of learning and in the science of arms. He is now worthy to stand beside his father. For a few moments, the king could not speak. The child he had last seen as an infant now stood before him as a young man. Years of longing dissolved into a single moment. Shantanu stepped forward and embraced his son. Ganga watched them with quiet joy. My task is complete, she said. With those words, the goddess disappeared into the sacred river. Father and son remained standing together upon its banks. The young prince whom Ganga returned to his father was Devavrata. In time, the world would know him by another name, Bhishma. But that is the story for our next episode.
You mentioned Prabhasa among the Vasus. Isn't Prabhasa also the place connected with the end of Krishna's earthly life?
Yes, it is. Prabhasa Kshetra is one of the most sacred places in the Mahabharata. It is where the story of Krishna on earth reaches its final chapter. Whether the place has any connection with the Vasu named Prabhasa is uncertain. Ancient texts preserve more than one tradition, and not every intriguing similarity has a definite answer. But that raises an interesting question. When we hear names like earth, water, fire, wind, moon, pole star, dawn, and radiance, it is tempting to think that the ancients were simply personifying the forces of nature. Yet perhaps they were doing something more. They seem to be asking a question remarkably similar to one that still occupies modern science. What are the fundamental principles that make the universe an ordered and intelligible place? Each of the 8 Vasus is associated with a fundamental aspect of the cosmos: earth, water, fire, wind, light, the heavens, the pole star, and the transition from night to day. Together, they represent the enduring forces and phenomena that sustain and govern the universe. Interestingly, this way of looking at the cosmos is not entirely unfamiliar to us today. Modern science, too, seeks to understand the universe by identifying its fundamental constituents and the laws that govern them. While the language and methods are very different, both traditions spring from the same enduring human quest to understand the principles upon which the universe rests. Do the Vasus represent merely divine personalities, or do they also symbolize the fundamental principles that sustain existence? Why are these particular aspects of nature chosen? Is there a deeper symbolism behind them? These questions have inspired philosophers, scholars, and seekers for centuries. I do not propose to answer them here. Instead, I invite you to reflect upon them as we continue our journey through the Mahabharata. And perhaps in a future special episode, we shall explore them together in greater depth. If you enjoyed today's journey, I'd be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and share it with others who enjoy great stories. Until next time, Namaste.